Um, before we get officially started, do you guys have, sorry, I got squirrel, an email popped up in front of me. Okay. Do you guys have any questions about current transactions that you're working on? Any questions on current transactions or current buyers? Nobody has any questions. Everybody's super quiet. Any questions about case studies that you're working on?
I think my
Okay.
one question was about like writing up the offer, but that's what you're doing today, right? You're going in depth into that.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly
Okay.
what we're doing. So perfect.
Okay.
Then we're going to walk right through it. So that will help you out. Okay, awesome. Well, let's get started here. So, what we're going to be mostly covering today is the areas of weakness. And when I say weakness, it's not necessarily that I mean weakness on the part of you guys, but meaning maybe weakness in training that we have done. So don't think when I say weakness that I'm saying you guys are doing something wrong. So when we see that people are asking questions over and over and over again, we realize, okay, just a second, sorry. So sorry, I have to answer this. Agent has to send a cancellation. So when we see that there's a lot of questions being asked over and over and over again, we realize, okay, that's something obviously that we have not either touched on enough or we're not explaining it in a way that everybody is understanding it. So we need to go back and try and redo or create something new to help everybody. Now, we have a ton of trainings that are available online. And part of the responsibility is on you guys to watch those trainings. If you're not able to be in the office in person each day working, which we realize some of you are only doing real estate part-time, so we get that. We have these trainings online. I know that it's not fun. It wasn't fun when Shoni and I made all the videos, talking to our computer screens for hours upon hours. But they're there for you as a resource to teach you because you aren't able to be there in person. And you might have to go back and rewatch some of those over and over and over again until you understand a concept. Maybe you watch some videos and you write down a list of questions and you come to a transaction class. And Ritz, Carl's saying he can't get into the Zoom.
I'll send the link again.
Okay. So anyhow, write down a list of questions. Okay, Jen, you're explaining this in this video, and I'm just not quite understanding what this means or what I'm supposed to do about this. Bring those questions to our transaction class. Ritz, could you please email him that link? He's not logged into Slack in the training room in the basement, and so it probably needs to be emailed to him.
Yep.
Let me tell him that you're doing that.
He's there. Yeah. He's
Okay.
Here.
Okay, he's here. He's figuring it out. Okay. So anyhow, oh, there we go. So we want you to watch those videos as a backup to not being able to be at Opportunity Zone, not being able to attend the extra trainings that the office offers. So that's why we have these videos and trainings. We see you dancing like an idiot. Can everybody see Carl? Okay. So that's why we have all those videos. It's not because we feel like that's the optimal way for you guys to learn. We know that it's not, but we recognize that you all aren't able to be at the office all the time. So heaven knows I don't go to that office very much either. So I get it. I get it. All right. So let's dive into writing offers. Now, first, we want to clarify. First, we want to clarify the roles and responsibilities, really just quickly, of everybody on the team. Number one, Carl's your coach. Carl's there to help you get your business into production, help you with your listing appointments, help you with your buyer appointments, help you to overcome objections with clients, give you ideas for growing your business, setting your goals. That's all Carl's responsibility. Todd's responsibility is he follows up with you on the goals that you've set, making sure that you're attending your classes, that you're doing all the things you need to do to make those goals happen. Then comes in me. So anytime you want to write an offer, you should be reaching out to me first. I am the transaction coach. I'm the one that helps you with all of your offers. Let's be real. Who do you think even writes Carl's offers? Okay, so now that we have that out in the open, you call me when you have a client that's ready to write an offer. And sorry, I have to just silence this thing. You call me, we will go over the things you have and have not done. That's why we created this checklist that I'm about to share with you guys. So we created this checklist, and let me just share it with you guys. And we're going to go over this checklist quickly at the beginning of every transaction class so that you guys are just so familiar with it and all the steps that you need to take when you're working with a buyer. Now, I want you guys, please, 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 if you have a question, just interrupt me. Say, hey, Jen, wait, I want you to clarify that. I want to know more about that aspect of it. So please interrupt me and ask me questions. After each section, I will stop and ask you if you have any questions. So I'm there to help you with your client's offers and to walk you through this process. So you have a client that comes to you. You guys should not be waiting to reach out to us or to look at this checklist until your client's ready to start writing an offer. When your client comes to you and says, I'm ready to start looking for a house, that's when you should pull this checklist out, and this is when you should start following it and using it. Do not wait until it's time to write an offer, because you have almost handicapped yourself, because there's many things you need to have done before it's time to write an offer. So let's get started here. Are you ready to work with a buyer and help them reach their real estate goals? Here are some critical questions and steps you must take to ensure your buyer is ready. In this real estate market, there's no time for catch up. You have to be on top of your A game. Here's a little video about ensuring your client is ready. We're going to go over steps, and with each step,
Oh yeah, that's me.
That's okay. Okay, so with each step, there is a video associated. You don't necessarily have to watch it. I would encourage you to watch each one of these. It'd probably only be a half hour. They're very short videos. We have them here as a reference, but since we're going over this, you should be super familiar by the end. But again, if you forget, oh, what is it that I'm supposed to talk to the lender about? Go back and watch the video. Okay, so here's the video on making sure your buyer is ready. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, is your buyer pre-approved with a lender? This is a critical step that I cannot emphasize enough. Your buyer has to have some form of lending set up before you write an offer for them. Whether it's a traditional lender and they're doing a conventional loan or an FHA or a VA loan, or they are paying part cash and a small loan, or they're doing a bridge loan on a home they own and then going to sell that later, or pulling out a HELOC for their down payment, or using hard money lenders. They have to have something set up so that we know that they can proceed forward with the transaction. We are not in the business of writing offers for clients that we know cannot perform. That's not what we do. So this is why it is so important that you have this conversation with your clients before you even start showing them houses. Are you pre-approved? Have you met with a lender? Have you gone over all these questions? I highly recommend that you get on a phone call or do an in-person meeting with your client and their lender before they even start looking at houses. So I hope you heard that you do an either in-person meeting or a Zoom or a phone call with your client and their lender at the same time. Have a meeting, and here are some questions you should ask. Is my client pre-approved? What's the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification? Does anybody know? Anybody know?
Pre-qualification.
Pre-approval gone through like the automated underwriting?
They have submitted, so a pre-approval, they have submitted bank stubs, tax returns, and it's gone through the system. A pre-qualification generally means they get on the bank website, they fill in their own information. No one has verified their documents. And so it's basically on the trust of that the client filled in the right information. I couldn't tell you the last time I saw pre-qualification, because in this real estate market, no one's going to pay attention to your offer. That's just the hard facts. Always remember, I learned this, my mother taught me, when trying to remember the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification. Remember, A comes before Q, so you always want a pre-approval. That's the better one. So you say, is my client pre-approved? Have you verified their pay stubs? Have you seen their tax returns? Have you seen their bank records? How much cash does my client need for a down payment? You might be like, whoa, these are kind of getting personal questions. You need to know this. You need to know how much. Let's say the lender says they need $20,000 for their down payment at the price point they're looking at. And then you come in and say, well, oh, you have $35,000 in your bank account? Oh, so we do have some money to play with for cash above appraised value. Okay, that's good to know. So you need to know, how much does your client have to have for a down payment? What is my client's spending limit? What is the limit that the lender says they can go up to? And what are your clients comfortable with? A lender might say that I'm qualified to do up to $750. And I might say, you know what? I want to be able to drive a nice car, go on vacations, do things for my kids. I only want to spend $600. And so your clients might have a different answer than what their lender does. And then you also need to ask, what if there's an HOA? What if there's an HOA fee of $100 to $150? How does that change their debt to income and their loan limit? So throw out, okay, if the HOA was $50, how much? Write it down. If the HOA was $100, how much? If the HOA was $150. It's rare, but you could ask. If they are looking at townhomes and condos, a lot of times those have a higher HOA fee because the HOA takes care of like a lot of outside maintenance and yard, and there's usually a pool and walking trails and things like that. Like up in Daybreak, there's a lot higher HOA fees. So then say, okay, I know this client is approved up to 500, but they're really looking at townhomes. So what can they afford if the HOA fee does go up to 250? Write all of these things down so that as you look at houses, you can say to your client, oh, This one's 525. And remember, your lender said with an HOA fee this high, you could only go up to 500. So you need to go over all these scenarios in front of your client with the lender so that your client and the lender and yourself are all hearing and a part of the same conversation. Can my client pay cash above the appraised value? Can your client guarantee if the house sells at 525 and was listed at 475 and the agent basically knows, oh, it's going to be a push to get this house approved for 510, can they cover that appraisal gap? Do they have the money? They still need enough for their down payment, their closing costs, and then the money above appraised value. So you've got to talk to your clients and the lender about what money they have. That leads us to the next question. Does my client have the money for their closing costs? If it's an FHA loan and things like that, generally there's loan programs to help cover those things. You need to have those conversations. So you need to know how much do they need for a down payment? Can they pay money above appraised price? And what do they need for their down payment? I had Mari reach out to me just the other day saying, oh, my client can pay this much above appraised value. I said, okay, let's run the numbers. They need 5% for their down payment. They need $8,000 for their closing costs. And you are saying they're going to have $10,000 above appraised value. So you're telling me right now your clients have $40,000 cash in the bank. And then all of a sudden she's second guessing herself. And then she did go check with her clients and it all worked out. But those are the things you have to know. You have to ask these intimate questions, because how are you supposed to represent them and help them make financially wise decisions if you do not know the answers to these questions? What is the timeline after we go under contract? This one is crucial. How quickly can the lender get the appraisal done? How quickly can the lender close the loan? That's why if you start working with somebody and you know they are several weeks or a month out from even starting to look, you ask that lender to put them through underwriting so that all we need is an appraisal and a contract, and that deal can close in 14 days. You are going to be steps ahead in writing an offer. You are going to be competitive with a cash offer if your client has been through underwriting and that lender can close the loan in 14 days. If your lender refuses to do that, you are working with the wrong lender. And I would flat out tell your clients that after you got off the phone call. If the lender's like, yeah, we don't need to do that. No, I don't want to do that. You get off the phone with your clients and you say, you are working with the wrong lender. Any good lender will put you through underwriting and will get this ready so that you can have a competitive offer and be steps ahead in this market. You also want to ask the lender, can I put in my email to the other agent that we will order the appraisal within 24, 48, 72 business hours of going under contract? Get the lender to commit to that, because if you put that in the email to the other agent, hey, we have the inspection tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, and the lender will order the appraisal within 48 hours of going under contract, that's going to speak volumes. That's going to make your offer more competitive. How quickly can they close on the loan? And can you send the client through underwriting so that we can close faster once we have an accepted offer? Any questions about these or this process of speaking with the lender? Any questions? Okay.
Was there a
All right.
checklist for all those things somewhere?
This
Or
is the
that's all
checklist
that right
that
there? Sorry, I was
this-
listening.
You're
Okay,
totally
I see
fine.
it now.
I'm going to email all of you today this checklist, and you're going to have access to it. You can print it out, and each time you start working with a client, or you can make a copy of it in your Google Drive and just label it with your client's name here. You can just come up and edit and put like Brown buyer transaction checklist. And then you can come in here and look at, I've made it so that you can cross all these things off. Or if you're a paper and pencil person, then you can print it out. But yep, I made it so that you can check all these things off. So this process right here, I would say, is going to take a good week to 2 weeks. Okay. So if your client has never spoken with a lender, that's your worst case is like probably 2 weeks out on getting all this, depending on how quickly your client responds. If it takes your client 2 weeks to gather up all their documents and even get them to the lender, then it's going to take even longer. So it's very important when you go over this stuff with your potential buyer that you say, we can get you through this stuff in a matter of a week if you are willing to put in the hard work and get the documents. If the lender asks you for something, you get it back to them within a matter of hours, not days. So it's your job to set expectations with your clients. I think that's the number one advice I could give a brand new real estate agent is setting correct expectations with your clients. You're not a miracle worker. This cannot happen in a day. It's just not going to happen. But this can happen in a week to 2 weeks and get them all the way through underwriting if they are willing to do the work. Okay, next step, call the listing agent before the showing on hot properties. Well, every property is a hot property right now. So call the listing agent before you even go out. Cade did it yesterday. Called the listing agent. How many showing? It had gone live yesterday. So your questions are going to be a little bit different if it just went live that day. How many showings are already scheduled? Let them answer. What are your clients looking for in an offer? If they're like, yeah, just highest and best, say, well, does possession matter? If it has HOA, what about HOA transfer fees? What about inclusions and exclusions? What about a lease back? What about how quickly we can close? Once you start asking all those questions, the agent's going to be like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, some of these things do matter. What about a home warranty? What about money above appraised price? Like if they just tell you, oh, highest and best, then do a deeper dive and say, well, what about all these facets of the offer? Do they not matter to your client? And then I guarantee you're going to start getting more information. You have to remember, you guys are assuming that the agent on the other side knows what they're doing, and that's not always the case. So it's your job to, in essence, ask the good questions and educate them and drive them to give you the correct answers. So what are the seller's circumstances? Do they need a lease back? All these questions that you can ask a listing agent before you even go out. Another one is, and I might add this one in, I might change this section. Would your client, would your client, so I'm just going to type this while we're talking, would your client accept a competitive offer before the weekend? Because like Cade took his clients out on a Monday. Well, are they going to, if he writes an offer today for them, which I don't even know if he, I don't even know if they would accept it. So ask them that. Would your clients accept an offer before the weekend if we wrote a competitive offer? Cade's clients have 50% down. They have like a $300,000 down payment. That's a very competitive offer. Okay. And I told him to go check with the lender to see, could they get a legitimate appraisal waiver where they don't even have to do an appraisal. Generally, if they can do 30% or more in a down payment, there is a chance they can get an appraisal waiver. So you need to have that conversation with the lender. So you need to ask the listing agent these questions before you even go do the showing. You're developing a relationship with this listing agent before you even show their property. You're showing this agent that you're on top of your game, that you're going to communicate, and that you're going to do a good job and get this done. Okay, now you go out, you show the property, call the listing agent before you write the offer. Okay, your clients are interested, and there's a video on this. Your clients want to write the offer. Now you call back. Okay, we saw the property. It's lovely. Thank you for all the hard work you put into presenting such a beautiful property. Stroke their ego. we're not beyond doing that. You need to ask all the questions. Do you have a preferred closing date? Even if you're repeating some of the things, maybe he didn't know answers before when you called before the showing, and then he or she went to their client and was like, well, do you care about this? Does this matter to you? They might have some better answers when you call back. So you're going to need to call the listing agent before you write the offer. Are there current offers? If yes, congrats. That's great. Now I want to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward when we send you our offer. So can you answer some questions for me on your current offer? So you do a deep dive into what the offers are that they have. Some agents will tell you everything because they've gotten permission from their clients. And some will say, nope, my clients have asked me not to disclose. They do not want this to get into a bidding war where people are just one-upping. You just need to bring your clients best. Okay, then let me tell you some of the things that my clients can offer. My clients can pay $550. They're putting $300,000 down. They would be waiving their appraisal contingency. They have a bona fide appraisal waiver with their lender. We can close in 21 days. We can offer the 30-day lease back that your clients need. And we will only ask for repairs if they are above $5,000. Is that going to be a competitive offer for your clients? Go over it with them over the phone. Say, is this going to be a competitive offer? And then usually they will say yes, or that's in the ballpark, but maybe you could make this part stronger. Okay. So don't ask them to compare your offer to the other one if they've said they can't disclose, but just tell them what your offer would be and ask them how you could make it more competitive or stronger for their clients. Okay. Any questions on that? Talking to the other agent. No questions. Okay. All right, let's look down here. Think hard about how to structure the offer. This video is super helpful with this one about how to write an offer in today's real estate market. Things like larger earnest money deposits, a larger down payment can signal to the buyer that you're serious and more likely to close on the loan. Cash offers are great, but they don't necessarily win every single time. I've had clients who went up against cash offers and won. So do not feel defeated just because there is a cash offer. There might be terms that you can meet that a cash offer isn't willing to. So you need to learn what makes an offer competitive and how to structure an offer in this market. Tentatively scheduling the inspection for a day or two after going under contract and having your due diligence deadline only be 5 days. Make sure your due diligence deadline is about 48 hours after the inspection, just so that we have time to get the report back. You have time to review it with your client and negotiate any necessary repairs or things like that. So if you're going to shorten that due diligence, you better have that inspection pre-scheduled. Reach out to your inspector, tell them you'll let them know the minute you find out if you get the offer accepted or not. Again, ask the lender if they will order the appraisal within, like I said, 24, 48, 72 hours of going under contract. That's going to make your offer stronger. A lease back, delayed possession, closing faster, putting earnest money, non-refundable using 8.3 BI so that your clients can still get it back if it doesn't appraise, but showing the seller that you have some skin in the game. Doing a substantial earnest money. So let's say even if you're offering on a $600,000 property, do a $10,000 earnest money. Okay. You don't need to go crazy and do 50,000. Come on now. That's just madness. General rule of thumb, don't make it more than your commission, because then it's just a pain getting the earnest money back over to title at closing. So don't make the earnest money more than what you're going to make on the property. That's a good rule of thumb. Okay, so you need to find things that will make your offer competitive in this market. Any questions on that? All right, now you need to go over all the points of the offer with your client. Okay, and here's a video on this. Any special inclusions or exclusions. So pull up, just so you guys know, you guys go out showing and doing a showing appointment. Then let's say your client's like, oh my gosh, we just love this one. We want to write up an offer right now. Come back to the office, get a conference room, put the MLS up on the screen in the conference room and go over your client's offer with them. Okay. Any special inclusions or exclusions. Let's say they excluded the fridge, the washer, the dryer, and your clients are like, we're going to pay, 25,000 over list price. We're going to do an appraisal gap of 15,000. We really want them to include the fridge. You can ask for things like that. That's generally, if you're writing a strong offer, it's not going to be a deal killer. Okay. Plus you can let the agent know if there's anything in my offer that would just kill the deal, please let me know. We're open to adjusting this. So any special inclusions or exclusions, and I put here the sections where these will be addressed in the REPC, so you know where to find them. Okay, purchase price, earnest money, loan amount, down payment, that's all addressed in section 2. So you need to go over that with the client. Is this subject to the sale of their current home? That's section 2.2. That's where you would address that. Then there is a special, you know what I'm going to do? If there's, based on their answer, if there is a special addendum required, I will mark it here for you. Really, I'm trying to make this as easy as possible for you. Okay. Let's see here. Possession. How long are they going to give possession? If they're doing a lease back, there is an addendum required. Okay. So we'll put that. Now, what I generally tell people to do is if you're doing a lease back, you put possession is at recording and then you attach the lease back. You do not in the possession put 60 days because you want to incorporate the terms of that lease back addendum, like saying that the seller pays for the utilities, that the property needs to be returned in proper condition. Do not just put 60 days in possession and then not do a lease back addendum, because your clients are at that point in a landlord-tenant relationship with those sellers and they need protections. So use that lease back addendum, which has been changed 3 times in the last 2 years because of our housing market. I don't know that I ever did a lease back addendum before COVID hit. Honestly, I can't even think. This is a very new thing. Who pays the special assessment? I highly recommend that you always put the seller, unless you know for sure 1000% there are no special assessments from the HOA, the county, or the city. Who pays the HOA fees? Again, you need to call and check. You call and check with that HOA before you write this offer. I had an agent just the other week that said the buyers would pay for it. You guys, it was $2,500 and it was not disclosed on the MLS. Do not trust that the other agent filled out the MLS correctly. So if your client is in a tough financial spot and they are barely going to be able to afford to get in this house as is, then I highly recommend, to make it more competitive, you say buyer will pay up to, and you put an amount they can afford and you mark the other box. Okay. Unless your clients are paying $800,000 for a house, and if the HOA transfer fee ends up being 0.5% and they can afford the $3,000, then go ahead and put the buyer. Okay. But if you don't know that, Lyric, heads up, if you get that Daybreak, oh, look at his little head popped up. Hi, Lyric. If you get that Daybreak listing, Daybreak has a 0.5% transfer fee for all properties. So Lyric, if your listing is where you think it's going to be, let's do the math really quick. Let's just say worst case, it sells for 1.3 million. 0.5%, sorry, I clicked my calculator. A 0.5% is $6,500. So that's something, Lyric, you're going to have to watch for as the listing agent, because does your client have the $6,500 to cover that? Or are they going to want the buyer to cover it? Or are they going to be willing to split it? So you guys, more and more and more, these HOAs are charging this 0.5%. They call it an enhancement fee, a reinvestment fee, whatever they call it, it's the same thing. It's an HOA fee that somebody is going to have to pay at closing. So look into these things before you say your client is going to be the one to pay it. Otherwise, it could be a deal killer. The agent that I referenced before ended up having to pay it out of their commission. Otherwise, their clients wouldn't have been able to afford it. So think long and hard. Is any of the earnest money non-refundable after due diligence, section 8.3BI? The money is refundable if the home does not appraise. So are they going to say, oh, out of my $10,000 earnest money, $5,000 will be non-refundable after due diligence, unless it doesn't appraise, and then they can get all their money back. Now, a crux to this would be, if you have waived the appraisal contingency, then it doesn't matter. This money is now non-refundable after due diligence. So keep that in mind. Will there be additional earnest money deposit? This you would generally see if it is subject to the buyer selling their home. You might say, listen, we are certain we're going to get this deal done. We'll do an additional $1,500 earnest money at financing and appraisal. So you might do something like that to incentivize them to take the offer. Are there any necessary addendum? FHA, leaseback, appraisal, floor addendum, escalation clause, disclosure of interest, limited agency. So is your client's deal an FHA deal? All of these things. There is a section on the REPC. Oh, I forgot to put that there. I'll go fix that. Look at it, just edit this right in front of you guys. Okay. The section where you have to mark if there's any necessary other addendum, that's where you would mark these. Will there be a home warranty? You guys, I see people still get home warranties. If you're offering a great price and money above appraised price, yeah, you can ask for a home warranty. You can try. Why not? Why not? Again, let the agent know in the email that if there's anything in the offer that is a deal killer, to reach out, that your clients are willing to negotiate on the terms. Mediation needs to always be marked may at the option of the parties. That's per our broker, Dean. Dates, standard dates, seller disclosures, 4 days from acceptance. These are calendar days, not business days. 4 days from acceptance, due diligence, 10 days. Reach out to the inspector and get it pre-scheduled and include that in your offer email. Leave 48 hours after the inspection for the deadline. Financing and appraisal, 21 days from acceptance. Talk to the lender to see if this can be shortened. See if they will order the appraisal within 24 hours, you know, whatever, of going under contract, and include this in the email to the listing agent. Settlement, 30 days from acceptance. Talk to the lender about shortening this. So this is section 24. Did I put that on there? Let me just see. No, I didn't. Okay, so this is section 24. So any questions about these terms in an offer? Nobody has any questions. I am totally expecting, with all this lack of questions, to see the most amazing offers come from you guys. Okay, here we go. Call Jen to go over the offer. Call me. Say, Jen, I sat down with my clients. Read me off these terms up here. This is what they're wanting to do. These are the terms. I talked to the lender. I talked to the other agent. And this is what my clients feel comfortable with. Perfect. I will ask you any other questions or clarifying questions, and then you will go write the offer. You will take the time, you will sit down, you will write the offer. You also want to check, did they attach any documents in the MLS to their listing? Okay. Did they attach any documents? Did they attach the seller disclosures? Is there a lead-based paint? Are they related to the seller and they put a disclosure of interest here? So check for extra documents Then sit down and write your offer. Okay. Carl, why are you dancing? So then you will sit down and you will write your offer. Here is a video going through step by step how to write your offer on the MLS. Download your offer and email it directly to me from the MLS. Okay. There's a button at the top. Let me just. Show you. Log in here. Now, when Carl and Todd come into play is if I'm unavailable. It's rare that I'm unavailable, but there are times. My kids might have a program. I might, like yesterday was at my infusion. Then I would say, hey guys, send this over to Carl and he'll check it for you. Okay. So I will let you know if you need to send it to somebody else. I will tell you that. I will tell you if there's a question that you need to go to Dean for. Yesterday, Will Forsyth, yes, you need to talk to Dean about this aspect of your offer and the legal ramifications. I will send you on to the other people if I, number one, don't know, or number two, I'm busy and can't help you and you have an immediate need. Okay, so here it is. So let's say you filled this in. Right here, it says email PDF. You would just hit that button and then it would ask you who you want to email it to. You would put my email address and subject. I would generally put your name. So let's say it's here. I'm going to say it's Austin Polson, Austin offer. And then Austin might have a question. Will you just double check section 24 for my dates? So any messages you need to send me about your offers or areas where you might have concerns, just note that in the email and then just send it to me. So you just send it to me right from the MLS. I'm going to look for one section really quick here. You might think I have this whole thing memorized, but I don't. Okay, number 9. That's what I needed. Sorry. Here we go. Okay. So you then email it to me. We'll go over it. If there's anything that I want to bring to your attention, or maybe you miss a checkbox or two, I will send you those. And then once I approve your offer, or Carl or Todd approves it, you will send it to your client in DocuSign for them to sign, and you will prepare the email to present your offer. I've given you a simple, this is what I use. Obviously, my wording is a little different when I'm the one sending it for the agent, but always CC me on it and tell them to include me on all communication so that if your offer gets accepted, I know right away as soon as you know, and we can start getting all the next steps in place for your buyer. Here's clauses for addendum wording. Escalation clause. Here's one. Here's Dean's off of the website. Appraisal gap, you use the appraisal addendum, put this in section C. If you're doing an ERS and you are tiering your commission, if the house sells for this price, then I'll do it for this. If the house sells between this price and this price, then we'll do this commission. And if it sells for above this, then it's this total commission. So I put that in here because I get asked for these ones a lot. So I put the wording in here for these addendums for you to help you out. Any questions on these last steps? No questions. Do you feel like this is going to help you to write offers and work through the process more smoothly?
Hey, Jen.
Hey, Carl.
Guess what?
What?
Oh, we'll turn it. It's worth it. Oh, shit. That guy in the house. She has
Oh
no
my
idea what
gosh.
he's been working on over here.
Oh my gosh. I can't even wait.
Okay, check it out.
What are you guys making on the floor?
Give us a little test run. Hey, Caden.
Oh my heck. Caden. Oh my hell.
Yes.
He's
stand on the corners?
breakdancing. You guys. I'm so glad that you guys take my class so seriously that you've just been breakdancing during it.
Worm. I did the worm across the floor while you were teaching.
Carl,
Two, actually.
job.
I'm literally not surprised.
Good job on this.
Thanks.
Okay, my young Padawans. These items we covered today, though, will be a phenomenal, absolutely awesome way for you guys to receive valuable help, access to items, and every time that we start our classes, we're going to be reviewing that checklist with you. It'll become something that's just memorized.
Mhm. And sometimes we might even ask you to lead the first 10 minutes of the transaction class to go over it with everybody else.
So this will be good.
I
The
love it.
faster that you can learn to memorize that action list, and the reason why we want to hammer case studies, transaction help, learning how to do these things. You may be like, oh, that little fetcher just doesn't want to answer my calls in the middle of the night. No, that's not the case. When somebody calls you and wants to meet with you and talk to you about buying or selling a home, Lyric, I want to buy a home. What's my first steps, buddy? I don't know what to do. I've never bought a house in my life. Boom, your mind immediately reverts to the checklist. Well, actually, I'm so excited about this. Your first step is actually working with a lender. Do you have a lender that you work with? No. Do you even know what the word lender means? Guys, 6 years ago, I went to go on a venture to buy my first house. I wasn't a real estate agent, and I saw a sign in the yard. And I called the person on the sign. That lady didn't answer. Terrible saleswoman. Why the heck doesn't she want to sell a freaking house? I'm sitting here outside the house, ready to freaking buy it, and she's not here. What did I do? I didn't know. I texted my friend, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of this lady that's selling this house, because in my head it was like cars, right? You go to the person that has the car on the lot. She's like, you're trying to buy a house right now? Yeah. Don't worry, I'll just help you. Hold on. It's like, what? What are you talking about? You'll just help me. I'll help you. Again, I didn't understand it then, any of it. And I remember trying to process it in my head, like, did I secretly just commit to paying some lady a bunch of money? Remember these processes as we teach you guys these checklists, these awesome things that Jen goes over. Guys, revert back to not understanding anything as a consumer. You've gone through real estate school already. You know things. You listen to us talking acronyms the entire day. They don't know what those are. Start with the basics. Learn how to do transactions. Learn how to do our case studies. Learn how to do our checklists. Watch our videos. Every piece of knowledge you can absorb are things. I want you to watch all these videos, the things I want to watch you go through these checklists. All of it is just so that you can learn how to regurgitate it back to the people. That's it. The most important piece. Ooh, Carl out, mic drop.
And learn how to break dance at the same time.
And we're going to freaking, guys, this is a secret. The office, we've been planning this for a long time, trying to figure out when we do this, but we're about to have team meeting kick off.
Shut up. Are you having Caden breakdance in team meeting?
That's what we literally did this for.
Okay, I
team-
will watch. I never watch team meeting. I will
Team
actually watch
getting
for
on.
this.
Talena's going to ask for office announcement shout outs. Nobody's going to understand why there's cardboard up here. A music is about to bust out on the speakers.
I cannot freaking
Our
wait.
freaking homeboy is about to smash a good 60 seconds of dancing. And then I'll worm across. Boom.
Yes, this is all very much so worth watching. Ritz, are you on here? Ritz,
Rich.
Yeah,
prepare
yeah.
yourself. Ritz, get ready. Ritz, you better record this.
Rich, you know how all through the night you just work for this crazy place called Keller Williams? All through the night, I'm in the clubs, hitting the freaking dance floors. That's a lie, Ritz, just so you know. I've got a lot of left feet. But dude, we're gonna smash. We're gonna smash this. Some high energy.
You're gonna smash it.
It's gonna hurt.
That's what you're saying here.
It's gonna hurt bad.
Well, can you dance to this one, please?
Oh, there you go.
All right, we'll power down. Thank you, Jen, for everything you've done for this awesome class. Again, Thursday, guys, we're not going to be just covering the same things. Again,
Mm-mm.
same beginning parts. Let's do the checklist. Who wants to teach the checklist on Thursday? Lyric. Thank you. Lyric is going to be teaching the checklist on Thursday. We'll keep rotating. Who wants a chance to each person take a chance to just go over
Okay.
and what they've learned? Thursday we'll be here, 9:30. Script off's about to start, so let's get out of here.